a shame, and comics are your estate. Put a little madness in your life. Come give your mind a cleanse. Tune in with pops and friends. Just turn on your Roku box and then put a little madness in your life. Put a little madness in your life. Yeah, yeah. Put a little madness in your life.
Glamorized and embraced by Hollywood, feared in the underworld, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was one of the most powerful men in America. He was also one of the most hated. The man who gave birth to Las Vegas was gunned down in the luxurious home of his glamorous lover. Almost 80 years later, his murder remains unsolved. Who killed Bugsy?
I like these calm little moments before the storm.
Money comes big, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not small, no, no, no.
Kiss my entire.
Oh, my darling, knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me.
Your coffee, sir.
Thanks, beautiful.
You're welcome.
This is a man's world.
We are live.
We are live.
We were having far more fun than any human being should be allowed to have back some time. I think we were at 0 seconds before show and kicked it. What's up, Red Bank? Let's say hello to the chat. Red Bank is here. What's going on? Manicore in the house. What's going on? How Dear is here. Hello, How Dear. Been following your art, How Dear. Looking good. Abo Grizz in the house. Welcome. Joe has sent me several voice clips.
Nice.
She's voicing Elizabeth Payne for the next trailer. And I'm here to tell you a couple of them gave me chills.
Yeah.
I gotta write her a better script, but she's the voice. She's got it.
She's got it.
She's got it. Abo, we may have to pull backstage to a StreamYard so I can direct a little more instead of saying, hey, try this, and then we wait and she sends it, go back and forth. It'd be easier just do it that way. But holy cow, one of them just gave me chills, man. I was like, oh, this is so cool. DH in the house. What's up, DH?
Hey, hey.
Good to see everybody hanging out. Welcome, welcome. We do not have a guest today, and that usually means it's going to be a damn good show. Because
Typically,
when I have,
yeah.
yes, I got to hack that stuff up, man. There's some more room outside than in. When we have a guest on, I try to be on my best behavior, have some good manners. If there's no guest, it's pretty much unfiltered.
This is true.
It is true. It is true. But I do have a topic for today because right now I have finished all the pages for the floppy, A Damn Dirty Thing, and now I'm finishing the novella writing. So I've been writing nonstop for days. Yesterday I wrote myself into a hole and couldn't figure out how to write my way out of it. I contacted my old writer buddy, my best friend Charles, known him 32 years, and we kind of bashed ideas against the wall until something clicked and managed to write ourselves out. Okay, I don't even know what that means. I am my own guest, but it's difficult to let myself in when I need to open the door. Right. Carrie, I have booked your friend. What's his name? Kevin? Is it Kevin? He will be on next week. We're going to have Corissa Grant on with us, our old friend Corissa Grant of Worthy Chaos. We're going to have her on, and then the next Friday we're going to have, I can't think of his name. Is it Kevin James? What is that guy's name, Pops? Help me out. I'm looking. And of course,
Kevin Davis.
Kevin Davis. That's it. Kevin Davis. Thank you for coming through on that, Carrie. Appreciate you. So yeah, that's the schedule for the next 2 weeks. But I do have a topic today because I've been writing so much. I kind of want to talk about that process because it's a Laurie Calcaterra and I were talking about this on her show, Tanner, and she brought up that this meme of a guy just staring out the window, and it says writer up above it, and someone says, "What are you doing?" And the guy staring out the window replies, "Working." Because when you are a writer, Glitch, what's up? Good to see you. When you are a writer, you do a lot of your work by not working, by just sitting and thinking and daydreaming and letting your brain roll. If you try to force a story, it won't happen. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't write. I'll sit down and write because I know what the next scene is, and I'll just write it. And if I write it terribly, that's fine. At least it's down on paper. Now I can go back and season it and refine it and edit it. Excuse me. But I found this quote by Elmore Leonard. If it sounds like writing, I'll rewrite it. Or if proper usage gets in the way, it may have to go. I can't allow what we learned in English composition to disrupt the sound and rhythm of the narrative. This is the guy that wrote Get Shorty, the Big Down, 310 to Yuma. And what he's saying is know the rules, but then feel free to break the rules. Because that narrative voice is everything, that rhythm, that's the mechanics of it. But on the creative side of it, I think about all the great writers that I have admired over the years, whether I like their work or not. Mm-hmm. For example, I'm not a fan of Faulkner, but I liked his approach to writing. Faulkner said, all I need is some tobacco, some whiskey, some paper, and some ink, and leave me alone. And he would write. But you think about Tolkien's approach to writing, without a doubt, one of the greatest writers that ever lived. Tolkien's approach was this meticulous world building, thousands of years of history, just to have a bedrock underneath the story that he wanted to tell. I'm not doing that, but it does kind of speak to the importance of building your world thoroughly. Excuse me.
In my younger days, I got compared to Dean Koontz. My editor compared me, said that I like to take genres and blend them together.
There you go.
It's
Carrie
funny,
says,
and I still have only one read one Dean Koontz book my entire life.
I've never read one, and that's to my lasting shame. I'm given to understand he's a much better writer than Stephen King. And I can believe that. I've read a lot of Stephen King. The only one thing Stephen King ever wrote, as far as his books go, that I really liked was the one he did. It's the book about the guy that travels back in time to stop the Kennedy assassination.
Oh yeah,
Really well written, first person narrative, and it's really good. It's really good. Let's see. Kevin will be a great guest. He's overflowing with comic ideas. He's designing other things like clothing, jewelry, brand, more full of passion, grateful response to his book. I look forward to talking to him.
very nice.
The neighbors are cutting the grass, and I have my window unit in this window blowing right on me, bringing in that lovely pollen.
Oh no!
But I can't turn the air off because the humidity in my studio gets up so high.
Can't do that.
No, it's unbelievable in here.
Not on a day like today.
No. I mean, it's not unbearable. It's like overcast and slightly cool, but the humidity is up there.
Oh yeah, not here.
Yeah,
here it's sunny and the heat is just
sunny and sticky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. People, Pops is one of them, and he'll argue to his dying day that it's the 100 degrees out in the desert is the same as 100 degrees here. No, it ain't. No, 100 degrees here with 100% humidity, you can't sweat, which means you can't cool off.
And then, oh yeah, no, I remember those days in the desert.
Yep. Now I do remember that odd thing I'd always heard. The desert, it gets cold as shit at night, no matter how hot it is. And
yeah,
when I was out in San Diego, which is not necessarily a desert, but it's kind of in the desert.
Mm-hmm.
It was true. It'd be 105 degrees, but it wasn't really all that hot because there was no humidity whatsoever. But then at night, man, it would get balls ass cold.
Yeah. I remember being in my winter PTs out in Iraq. And, it's like 90 degrees at night because it's 120 like during the day.
Yeah. It's a bizarre thing. But I wanted for a long time to have a kind of a writer's symposium here on my channel. Not for the coffee shop, just a separate one. I'd like to get the writers. What are winter PTs, says Carrie.
Oh, they are. It's PT gear, physical training gear that is for the winter time. So your jacket and pants.
Yeah, it's sleeves on your exercise gear
sleeves,
instead of shorts and t-shirt. Yeah, and I still remember when I graduated from boot camp. You're supposed to graduate in your dress blues. And I remember thinking, God almighty, those they're made out of 100% wool. They're thick. They're hot. We're going to die out here. And I kid you not, 2 days before graduation, we're marching to Chow, and there's this huge column of smoke coming up. And we find out later, that that's the base laundry going up in smoke, and all our dress blues were in there. So we got to graduate in our dress whites, which are much lighter, much more comfortable. And I was like, hell yeah.
Heck yeah.
I wish I was a better writer. Listen, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the best writer in the room, you're in the wrong room. Go surround yourself with people who are better at things than you are, because we all want to be better, and you'll get there. Hey, what's up, Rex? Good to see you.
Rex.
Oh, she's just going to sit and enjoy the mental image of men in Army gear, or Navy gear, or Marine Corps gear. Hello, Rex, says Carrie. Yo, Rex, drop your link. I don't have it handy. Yep, you guys. Rex does a show every damn day, sometimes twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. I think Rex holds the record for the most successful dead air chair stream that's ever existed. He forgot to end a show, Tanner. And he went to work. He works at night. He went to work, and the camera's just on his empty chair, and his chat was hopping all night long.
Oh, wow.
Night. That was an absolute trip.
That's crazy.
Everybody says they call How Dear 6480 because they can't pronounce How Dear. I don't know why. How Dear. It's not hard.
How dear.
Rex has a campaign going right now over on Fun by Comic. We'll look at it here in a minute. We're going to take a look at a damn dirty thing in Satellite Girl that Tanner is producing. What? Wait. Graduate full plate armor for the women. Graduate in barbarian armor for the man. That would be it. All right, Devil's Air. You just live in your world, buddy. That's There was that scene in the movie Kingdom of Heaven. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Ridley Scott movie?
I own that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. It's a good movie. It's complete bullshit, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
But the one scene where the guy just pours his water skin over his armor and it sizzles. It's like, what a nice touch that was. That told a story all by itself. There's Rex's link. If you haven't, you can go over there and subscribe. Show Rex some love. He's live every day, the 4 o'clock shadow, his time, 5 o'clock Eastern Standard, which is, of course, God's time, Eastern time zone. It's where we hang out. It's where God hangs out. I've heard my UK friends say, no, it's Greenwich Mean Time. No, nobody cares about Greenwich Mean Time. My backyard's bigger than your country. Get out of here. So anyway, I'm going to play kind of a longer trailer here for Satellite Girl. Because this cat, Chris Olette, who is being published by, I should say, where did it go? There it is. By our good friend Tanner Hurley here, is something completely different and yet incredibly beautiful. If you miss the great times of Heavy Metal magazine and kind of that European flavor, I don't even know what is the word I'm looking for here. Just that really beautiful, Vogue, sharp, cutting edge art. This guy is all of those things. Check this out. That's beautiful stuff. Yeah, it's a long trailer Rex. Yeah. Yeah, that's Tank Girl, Euro Comics. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all of those are inspirations for the characters in there. You know,
Yeah.
the idea was to take a decade. There's 12 decades going all the way back to the original Satellite Girl, and so each Satellite Girl is a representative of that decade.
Yes, absolutely. And it's beautiful. Why don't you, Tanner? Can you bring up the campaign over on Kickstarter? And
Yeah, I can do that.
we'll take a look at it. Before we get too far down that road, though, while he's bringing that up, I'm going to go ahead and do a little thing we like to call. So just right off the bat, if you're one of these people, it might be time for you to tune away. When you got a black belt being offended, this is your actual uniform. Don't show up without it. Yeah, if you're gonna get offended, I'm just saying, don't even bother hanging out here, because don't mind me, I'm just watering my hippies. Oh my gosh, going hard today. A woman sleeps with 20 guys. She's called a slut. But if a guy does it, gay, he's definitely gay. You go, Skeletor. Here's the one that's going to offend everybody, but I don't care. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you the Museum of Ancient Palestinian History. This is relevant because of what's going on in the world right now. And just a little note for you. There's never been any such thing as a race called Palestinians, a country called Palestine. There's never been an ethnic group called Palestinians. It's a made-up word that the British used for the mandate when they were controlling the area. The people that call themselves Palestinians are Jordanians or Transjordanians, Syrians, and Egyptians. So, fuck off. One of them said, I have, talking to Israel, my grandmother's older than your country. Yeah, your grandmother's 3,000 years old because Israel's been around that long. All right, then we got this one. Timmy. I mean, whoever took the time, being a handicapped person themselves, to get that vanity plate for themselves, they are an absolute rock star. I want to have a cup of coffee with this person. There we go. That doesn't look photoshopped to me, but maybe it is. But if someone actually built that, and that exists, I not only want to meet those idiots, I want to meet the idiots who signed the check for it, and then I kind of want to watch the special kids that'll actually try to use it, because that could be fun. It could be fun. Then there's this. It's always I before E, except when your foreign neighbor Keith received 8 counterfeit beige sleighs from feisty caffeinated weightlifters. Weird.
Hey, Doc, did you ever make out on the swings?
Well, yeah.
That's a perfect makeout swing set, bro.
It provides a little. It provides a little privacy, certainly. Anyway, Jesus Christ. So that whole I before E thing you learn in elementary school, it's not really a thing. This isn't even all of the examples of the exceptions to that rule. There are almost more exceptions than there are words that follow the rule. So yeah, in 1920, 8-year-old Samuel Reshevsky played chess with several chess masters at once. He lost every single game. Just a little, shot at all these wunderkind that are out there. Just because your mommy tells you you're special doesn't mean that you are special. So, this has been another meme review. I'm not going to play the little thing again because, honestly, I've got a headache and I don't want to hear it. Tanner, you got that campaign ready?
Yep.
Sure. Bam! Satellite Girl. Here we go. So right now, sitting at about 50%.
Yep.
$2,000 funding goal. We're at $1,001. This is over on the Kickstarter. Oh no, the AI is here. Oh, she's talking about Billy Power Max is in the house. Billy, good to see you. Let's roll through this thing, Tanner. We will not play that trailer again.
Okay, like we said before, we're moving backwards, telling tales in reverse order from the modern age Satellite Girls 12 all the way back to the one that started them all, the OG Short Cape and Captain Cosmos' first sidekick, Satellite Girl 1.
Right on.
Every issue showcases 3 visually stuffed adventures with each woman from their respective eras.
Yeah, so to kind of explain this, Satellite Girl is the sidekick to Captain Cosmos.
Captain Cosmos, yep.
And apparently Captain Cosmos is damn near immortal.
Yes.
And so each decade he lives in, he pulls in a new sidekick, Satellite Girl, and she's very iconic of that decade. So an 80s girl is going to look like an 80s girl, a hippie girl from the 60s or 70s. You know, they're all going to look like when they came from.
Like we have here, we got Satellite Girl 9, I believe it is. Yeah, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
You know, and she's very 90s alternative, you know, tank girl.
Yeah.
Graffiti, alternative, you know, that kind of thing.
Right. Chapter 1, you can't say that on television.
But here's a little bio of each one. So like Kirsten, Kiki, Brewster.
All right, so let's read that. Satellite Girl number 9. Go ahead.
Set in the Hollywood Hills of 1992 Los Angeles, a mysterious corporate cabal has captured our hero, Kirsten Kiki Brewster, in the hopes of censoring some of her more crude tendencies and like world domination and junk. In Chapter 2, well, let's get physical. We have Satellite Girl 8 and Incognito, Linda Michelson tries to spend New Year's Eve 1981 at a hot star-studded nightclub. Of course, her plans are spoiled by a rather large interruption, one that only she has the fortitude and attitude to take down.
And she's a total 80s girl. Check her out.
Oh, yeah. She's got her Walkman and...
Yeah, even the colors.
Oh, the colors are there.
The leg warmers, the leotards.
Yeah.
That big ass belt they wore around their gut for some reason. I never understood that, but hey.
Beyond the Valley of the Action Figures has Satellite Girl 7. Ruby Barnum lives in a haze. Over-medicated, over-emotional, and understimulated. She drifts through a beautiful fever dream, taking stock of her life and trying to decide what the future holds for a hero no one seems to need anymore. And as always, she's Satellite Girl 7 from the 70s.
She's the 70s. So we're going to have some bell bottoms, the stacks, the hip huggers. Yeah. And of course, a lot of mushrooms and LSD. Hell yeah. All right.
More sneak peeks of the inside.
Nice. Got our boom box.
With a giant phone on the side.
Hell yeah. Only the best tech. My mom used to wear that shit. Every girl I ever dated in the 80s wore that stuff, except for the hood girls. They dressed totally different. Oh, what are we looking at there? What's dude? Wait, so much eye candy.
Oh, yeah.
What are we looking at here? This guy can draw. Shit, he can draw.
Overlooking the Hollywood Hills is
okay.
That's like the villain
and his little henchman there. Okay. Do we know the villain's name? What is his name?
You know, I don't remember the villain's name. I'd have to go back and read the story, the script that I got.
Okay. All right. But anyway, there's the villain.
One of many.
One, yeah. Very cool. Very cool art, man.
We have a second printing of Satellite Girl #1, so it's catch-up tier.
Very cool. Now, which Satellite Girls do we meet in issue 1?
Issue 1, you get 10, 11, and 12.
Okay. All right. So that would be the 2000s, 2010s, and then the teens. Yep. Okay. All right.
Now we start getting into some of the stretch goals. We have a digital sketchbook that'll go out once we hit 2000.
All right.
Got die cut stickers at 2,500.
Nice.
3,000. We've got more die cut stickers of the covers from the previous book.
Very cool. Very cool. So these are the individual Satellite Girl stickers.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
The sticky goodness continues. Look what it says. Now you can decorate your 2009 MacBook or Dented Yeti cup with any and all of these 3 Satellite Girls from issue. My wife has a good, 6 Yeti cups in there. They take up all my coffee mug space.
Got the metal bookmark.
Yeah, 3,500. A metal bookmark. The band flyer. Now, what is the band flyer? What is that about?
It's it kind of looks like one of those old paste up band posters that you'd see. So it's just that monochromatic.
Overglitch would like you to drop the link to this campaign in the chat.
Okay.
Good. Stand by. We'll get that out there for you here in just a moment.
Then at 4,000, we unlock the variant cover that's inspired by Marty McFly and Back to the Future.
Hell yeah. Look, this is one of those guys. I'm a pretty good artist. But if Chris Ollett said, hey, Doc, can you do an alternate cover or a poster for my campaign? The answer is going to be no. I can't. I cannot match your style. I can't even come close to it. It's just a beautiful style, all and so fresh and different from most things you see out there today. Just awesome. 1.21 giga help us get to this cover. Once unlocked, everyone will be able to add on this very special Back to the Future homage cover. Channeled my inner Drew Struzan on this one. If you play your cards right, that might even be a foil cover. Holy smokes.
Mm-hmm. All depends on how much we can raise.
Yeah.
And remember, Captain Cosmos' cry for tomorrow's yesterday.
Which is today.
End of page.
Hey, right on.
Or is it?
Oh, we're still scrolling. Dun, dun, dun.
And that's it.
1.1 jiggly tits of energy. Go ahead and drop that link over there, Tanner.
Okay.
So this is Satellite Girl #2 by Chris Ollett, published by my co-host down there, the great Stephen Tanner Hurley. Ooh, now I got hiccups. Come on. I can't catch a break today. You deserve a break today. One day I'm going to just do a review of all the great commercials from the 80s because
oh man,
the commercials were so good you didn't even want to skip them. Modern commercials are like, get out of here. I don't want to watch that shit. In the movie trailer for this comic. Yeah. The trailers are a tricky thing. All right. When you make a trailer, typically you want it no more than a minute 20. This guy had a lot to show. Sometimes you need narration. Sometimes you need texts. It just is what it is. It's trailers are their own art form. I
They
enjoy
are.
making them. I enjoy making them. But it is what it is. Hey, before I start shilling a damn dirty thing, amateurs. Yeah, okay, Manicore. Don't even go
And
there.
Chris is actually trying to get his internet up and running so he can get on here.
Oh, okay. All right. You just heard from him.
Yep.
Bless his heart. Yeah, I had a guest on a couple of weeks ago, Chris Hicks. He's a filmmaker, and he's a good guy. Never met him before. We were connected on Twitter, and we would cross paths over there. And he's got some salty ass views. I'm like, I like this guy. He's not afraid of poking the hornet's nest. So I had him out, and same thing. He was having internet issues, and it was just.
No.
It's like, look, man, all these great people that we want to have on here, upgrade your internet.
You gotta have good internet.
Rex, upgrade your internet. We did a speed test. You know how you can do a speed test on your internet connection?
Yeah.
We did one for Rex. It didn't even twitch the needle.
Oh no.
Like dial up would be faster, Rex.
Damn.
Yeah. Homer Glitch says if there's text in the trailers, we should hear it too. Well, now I'm going to challenge that a little bit. I'm going to challenge
Dynamics
that.
Is working.
Let me play a little teaser for you. This is not a full-on trailer. It's a teaser for my next project after A Damn Dirty Thing. And tell me what you think.
I love that trailer.
Yeah, see, I don't think that needs any voiceover at all.
Really?
Speaks for itself.
Okay. Heck
Speaks
yeah.
for itself. Kind of gives me chills. What's up, Stephen B? Good to see you, my friend.
Stephen B.
I think it's pretty effective. Yeah. So again, it depends. Sometimes you need a vocal narration. Sometimes text is enough. Sometimes combining the right image with the right music and sound effects is enough. Thank you, Manicore. I can't wait. I'm always excited about the next thing. Okay, well, Homer Glitch disagrees. He says, yeah, I need to hear it. Just seeing it isn't creating a full experience in the media. Hey, Fanta, what's going on, lovely?
Hey,
Good
Fanta.
to see you. I hope you're doing better. Fanta's been going through some stuff, and I'm glad to see you here. Always loved.
Glad you're here.
Always loved. Always welcome.
Excuse me.
I forgot what the hell I was just saying. Fanta came in and derailed me. I'm always about whatever the next thing is. As I finish one thing, I'm already eager to jump into the next one. Here's the problem I'm running into, Tanner. I've got more stories than I could ever illustrate in my life. So I need to find an artist that I like, that I could work with, that would willing to be work on the back end. And I know that's not really the right way to do things, but I don't have the money to pay up front.
Mm-hmm.
I draw for myself because I can afford myself.
Yeah, right.
But after A Damn Dirty Thing fulfills, especially the novella part, I think my bona fides as a writer will be established enough to where maybe a penciler would come alongside and say, yeah, I'll do this for a share of the take. And that's what I'm looking for. That's what I want.
Heck yeah.
I'm old. I don't have all that much time left in the world. I've got a lot of stories to tell.
I hear that.
I got that, Pops. I'll load that. But yeah, that's, you get, that's kind of a, it's kind of a thing, right? So if someone reached out to me and they said, "Hey, I'm a writer. Here's my story. Would you pencil it?" The first thing I'm going to want to know is not, is the story good? Show me what you've done already. I want to know that you have a track record. I need to see your CV, your whole experience. And then we'll think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's not to say I would outright turn someone down. So then as I'm thinking that thought, me as the penciler, now I'm thinking as me as the writer saying, I really would like to have a penciler come on board. Well, now, Pops, we both just did the same damn thing. Welcome, Fanta. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo.
Plop the COC. I don't know what that means. I'm young, but I need to get skill. I need to get the skill to get the correct story out. I'm slowly writing, but I'm writing.
Hey,
yeah, that's the only way to do it. Writers write. Number one rule: writers write. By the way, I personally believe you should have read a fuck ton of books by the time you're in your 30s. I mean, you should have a huge list of shit you've read, including comic books, especially by the greats, when Chuck Dixon, Mike Barron, those guys who could really, Chris Claremont, those guys who could just write those amazing stories.
Fabian Nicieza.
Yeah.
Sorry, I loved his 90s run.
Yeah. Yes, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But read. And then the best advice I've ever seen one writer give to other writers was from Stephen Brush. He's been writing the Vlad Taltos series. It's called the Dragera series. He's been writing them since 1985. And his advice was, he said, "Listen, above my desk, there's a sign that says, 'And now I'm going to tell you something cool.' Just write what you think is cool. Somebody is going to agree with you.
Yeah.
I think it's cool too."
I mean, really, that's where Ren and Electric and all those characters I created, they just came out of what I thought was cool. It's a hot.
Yeah.
And I realized, I wasn't going to make, the great next, the Iliad or something like that,
Right. Yeah. We're not out here trying to write. We're not writing the Lord of the Rings or the Tempest or War and Peace. These are comic books.
These are comic books.
Yeah.
So I came to the realization that maybe my comics were on par with Troma Films or Roger Corman, and I said, but those guys put out a shit ton of movies, so I was like, I'll do the same thing with comics.
Yep, Devil's Air. I would strongly encourage you. There's 3 books that I would encourage every person to read, not because, we've got someone in the back. Stand by. Let me finish this thought. Not because you want to get into their lore or their book or their whatever, because of their writing styles. Read The Lord of the Rings at least once so you can see how beautiful prose is written. Read Stephen Brush or his mentor, Roger Zelansky.
Zelansky.
So you get that wonderful first person narrative voice. And the third thing I would say to read would be grab a Tom Clancy novel to know how to juggle multiple thread elements at one time.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're joined by the author, creator, artist behind Satellite Girl. Welcome, Chris Olette.
Hi guys.
What's going on, brother?
I'm good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Great.
So,
happy to
you guys,
be back on the show.
we just watched. Yeah. We just got done watching your movie length trailer.
Okay. Yeah.
and the chat loved it. So
good,
we're
yeah.
glad to have you back.
Tried to channel a little bit of our inner Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, Carrie, just for you, I asked for Chris Olette to come out so you could have more than one eye candy. She oohs and ahs over Tanner, and she oohs and ahs over you. I obviously have nothing to ooh and ah about.
You can ooh, you can ah. I don't mind.
I passed my sell-by date.
Okay.
Oh no.
Three beards on the show right now. Yeah, Devil's there. Anyway, that would be my advice, man. Read one Tolkien book, read one Clancy book, read one by either Stephen Brushed or one by Roger Zelansky. It'll give you a good feel for listening to that voice in your head as you write. All right, finally got that Starlink set up. The internet is. Oh, he fell. No fault of mine.
Right, I'm good.
All right, it's I meant to do that.
Thanks a lot,
Yeah.
Starlink.
Oh, yeah, the chat going on.
Yeah, the Stephen B gets an ooh and an ah. Oh, Carrie's flirting with Stephen B now. She's left you, Tanner.
It's
on.
okay.
She's moved on. Some women like older men. Yeah, but they're all older women and they're ugly. I'm just kidding. Chris.
Yes, sir.
I have a question that I've been dying to know the answer to, and I meant to ask you last time you were here.
Okay.
As we're working backwards in the Satellite Girls,
Yeah.
there's 12 of them. So
Correct.
number 7 is in the 70s. So we're going all the way back to the 1900s.
No, that's good. That's a fun question. So, not everybody has a full decade. So though there have been 12, math wise, it doesn't work out to 10 years. A 10-year, if you will.
Right.
That doesn't always line up. So, the number 7 is the late 70s, and then 6 will be kind of mid 70s, early to mid 70s, and then 5 ends up being kind of like Summer of Love, 1969.
Okay.
Story.
All right.
And then
all
we're
right.
going backwards. You'll find out, and then there might be some. There are 2 that kind of overlap.
All right.
So maybe a little like an affair of sorts, or a secret satellite girl on the side.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Who is the villain?
You know, some 10 years are cut short. I'll put it that way. And as we tease in issue 1, in chapter 2, the Grant Morrison parody character, Marat Garrison, which I hope people get, is it's a Spoonerism, kind of like how Frank Quitely is quite frankly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty clear, obvious, but maybe not.
I thought it was pretty obvious.
Oh, good. Okay. So that he references how satellite girl number 6 mysteriously disappeared or died, quote unquote. So that will be in the next issue as well.
All right. So the premise again is Captain Cosmos is nigh ageless.
Correct.
And he has, in these different eras, sidekicks, the satellite girls.
Exactly right. He kind of has. I don't think it's a spoiler. I mean, I guess it's kind of a spoiler. Who the first satellite girl? I don't know, Tanner. Should I say? I guess I should say who the first satellite girl is. Maybe.
Okay.
Leave it a surprise. I don't know. I think I'll leave it as a surprise.
Okay.
But the first satellite girl is somebody close to him. I'll put it that way. And,
okay.
And then throughout every era, there's a replacement that comes in that kind of reflects the social mores and culture of the time period that they have the gig in. Yeah.
Right. Now, the villain that we see in book 2, the guy with the hood and the Playboy outfit, the Playboy. What's that guy's name? Playboy man. Yeah, the Hefner look with the mask on.
Oh, issue 2. I'm sorry, I'm thinking issue 1. Issue 2. Yes. The green hooded Cobra Commander looking guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the villain for chapter 1 for the satellite girl of the 90s.
Okay. All right. And
he is kind of this. He has a cyborg of directors, and he is he's just number one. He's the head of basically the head of a censorship cabal.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that. That's the bad guy. Pay attention, kids.
Yeah.
Censorship bad. Okay.
Well, especially corporate censorship. I put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's not this guy. What's his name?
He's number one is what he's referred to as.
Okay, number one, however, is not immortal like Captain Chaos. So this hasn't been his nemesis all along.
Correct. This is specifically a nemesis for Satellite Girl. Like you'll find out that Captain Cosmos is missing at this time period, and so we kind of the Satellite Girl from the 90s is basically mentorless to a degree,
right?
And and she ends up being quite the crude, like kind of like a tank girl, cursing, swearing. Jamie Hewlett meets like Frank Miller a little bit,
cool
kind of vibe, and the Jubilee of the 90s, but like to the extreme. It's all that extreme. It's cursing, and swearing. It's
extreme.
Your tongue out.
She's
extreme
Jubilee
with a capital X. Yeah.
She's Jubilee if Jubilee did a little meth on the side. Just
right. Yeah. She's Image. She's Chaos or Image Comics is Jubilee. And she yes, a lot of tank girl, a lot of like Gwen Stefani inspiration and all kinds of stuff. But,
sure.
That kind of or like Puck from the Real World is kind of like a lot of my inspiration for her. She's stinky, but she's fun, and she drinks, and so each character, each Satellite Girl has like a crystal, a little kind of it's the same crystal that's passed from Satellite Girl to Satellite Girl.
Okay.
And it is it's a shard of a larger crystal, and it gives them their powers basically, and so each one kind of utilizes it in a different way. And the one of the 90s on the variant cover, you can see she's kind of got a flask with around her neck with the crystal in it, and so she basically drinks like fermented like gummy berry juice to get her powers. And so she's she gets super strength, but she's always a little drunk and a little high because of it.
Okay, right on.
It's Satellite Girl number 2. Chapter 2, Satellite Girl 8 in the 80s. She has like these twin gauntlets on her wrists and has kind of like the crystals in there, and they kind of end up being somewhat of like an Ultraman, Sailor Moon transformation power suit kind of vibe.
Okay, all right.
Now, I thought her gauntlets kind of resembled the old skateboarding gear. Was that intentional?
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
Somewhat,
very thrashing, or
I was going for like
Gleam in the
wrist
Cube.
guards meets like Madonna lace gloves.
Yes,
gotcha.
Mesh.
Now, when she transforms into her up armored self, tell me she keeps the leg warmers.
To a degree, yes. They kind of become the silhouettes similar, but they become kind of like these mech boots.
I got you.
That are very chunky. And a lot of fun to draw, but yeah, that's a fun. That's probably I'm very excited for people to see that chapter. Tanner, you've seen the pencil so far, and
I have, and oh my god,
it's
they're
the
amazing.
one ever since I teamed up with Tanner, and we were going to be doing this kind of initially it was going to be part of an anthology magazine. I was looking forward to doing like these chapters once every couple months, and like just kind of working our way back and. People get to piece together this overall narrative and this overall story, kind of one piece at a time. Before he offered to do the book with me, I'd already been working on this chapter because I knew I wanted to show off like, all right, there aren't many cities in the first issue, and I wanted to show some like different kind of dynamic action and show that I can do backgrounds and buildings and all that kind of stuff. And so, and also draw a giant monster fight, which is a lot of fun. I've been, I'd just seen Ultra Mega by James
great
Herron,
book.
And I've been looking at a bunch of like Daniel Warren Johnson as well, and some anime and manga like One Punch and what have you. So it was very One Punch and what have you is a good name for a book. A lot of One Punch and wanted to kind of like stretch my legs a little bit in that area, and so this is I've been kind of playing this for a while. It could have been its own issue. This chapter. It could if I had if I even wanted to use the full 32 pages for this fight, I could have. But what I ended up doing was it's a 15-page chapter. I think it's the longest one so far that I've done in both issues. So I had to borrow from chapter 1, which is the 90s, a little bit, and borrow from chapter 3, which is the 70s, more so. So chapter 1 is, I think, 10 or 10 pages, if my math is right. Chapter 2 is 15, and chapter 3 is 7. But in doing so, I had to kind of figure out a way to cram on some spreads 3 pages into 2-page spreads. So I kind of got these 3 narrow sections and navigating the seams very carefully.
Right.
And using that as like a panel border, panel divide as a gutter a lot, which is kind of helpful. And making sure people get room to like breathe. It kind of gives me these longer, narrower splash pages here and there, which I like to use.
Sure.
And I really tried to approach this book in general as a collection of spreads.
All right, we gotta take a little sponsor break here for just a moment. When we come back, though, Chris, I wanna talk to you about your influences on your art style and on your writing style. I'm really curious to hear that stuff. So, in the meantime, where the hell is this trailer I need to play? I know it's here somewhere. Not that one. Not that one. Oh, for goodness sakes, Doc. It's almost like you know what you're doing sometimes. Here we go.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Very nice.
We're back. At some point, I got to have that guy on here because I have questions. The trailer generates questions for me. Chris Oled, am I seeing a graphic design background?
Not really. I mean, that collegiately or anything like that. I went to school for acting and playwriting.
Okay.
So I mean, I drew a little bit during that, and I took some kind of. I had a girlfriend in college who had an art history minor, so I kind of had a minor.
Right.
Like a second-hand minor through that.
It's kind of like a contact eye.
Yeah, exactly. And then no, most of my art training is self-taught. I had a good high school art program. But no, and I've done some, poster design and some illustration work, and I guess, graphic design technically here and there. And it's enough to put on a resume, I guess. But
right.
No, like I can't name you fonts or anything like
that. Okay, well that leads us that leads us to then.
I never met like John Wingdings or anything like that. That person.
Right. But that leads us into your influences.
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's see. So, and going back, the first major influence, I might have talked about this last time, I can't remember, was, I mean, obviously like cartoons and Bugs Bunny and Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes was probably when I felt most like an adult reading comics for the first time was probably Calvin and Hobbes, being like, oh, this is smart, and I get it, and I like it, and I don't, and this is amazing. And even though I couldn't articulate what, I knew there was something really special there. So that was later. That was more like 4th grade, 5th grade when I got into that, right around when it was ending. But yeah, I mean, I grew up loving like Thundercats and Ninja Turtles and all the usuals. And then it was I guess the X-Men cartoon. Oh no, really, it was the X-Men arcade game.
Oh yeah,
the 6-player tower that like I saw in an arcade as a kid. It was like, what is going on? Who are these people? And seeing I saw in some magazine a picture of Nightcrawler or somebody, and then the cartoon came out. I was in a local CVS, and they had like the Wizard 30th anniversary special magazine, which I have my copy.
Actually, I think I have mine handy too.
Just had it like a second ago.
Look at these guys, both of them.
Okay. My problem is my cover was taken off so long ago. So this is the like, and just I poured over these bios and these pictures of these characters, like, and these are like the Jim Lee, the headshots. I didn't know at the time, but they're from the trading cards. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. The foil, the Mylar.
I don't know who to show.
That Andy Kubert cover changed my life. Like that, I saw that the holofoil, everything. I saw that in CVS. It was bagged. I grabbed it. I had to get it. I believe I paid for it. I'm pretty sure I did. I was my pre-klepto days. Yeah.
Matt Barr in the house, not bragging, but I was in Wizard and Hero. Matt Barr,
right on.
not bragging, but so was I.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Not in Hero, but in Wizard.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and I remember practicing that. Tracing and even copying that cover endlessly. Like I can probably still draw that Cyclops like with his mouth open and like to the side and the blast and and the giant bulbous biceps on Wolverine that don't really make sense. But at the time I was like, well, it got on the cover, so I must be wrong. And just like cherishing that cover and then the magazine, because this was the only way you could get information about like the continuity and the history of X-Men. And like there was no internet. I couldn't go on and go to Wikipedia and look up or the history of Wolverine from birth to now. I had to piece it together in pieces and find out what went down. And so that's kind of, to bring it back to the book, that's kind of why I'm telling Satellite Girl backwards like this. It's one, it kind of initially came out of happenstance of the way the anthology worked out, and the character of Satellite Girl 12 was going to be a side character in another book that I'll eventually get to. So to branch out on the lore, it's like, well, this is a fun way of doing it, and I get to stimulate the experience of coming into a series in the middle of it, and as a kid, like trying to figure out in that mystery of like, well, how did we get here? What happened? I want to know. Let's go back and find out, and we can kind of fill in the gaps, and our imagination can be a little more engaged. So it's a little more demanding of the reader and challenging, not just kind of force feeding you like, here we go, this is how he gets his powers, this is an alien world, another planet, and the first 5 pages
feeding.
No right spoon origin feeding. You're like, I'm not wrong. I know exactly what this is. I don't have to be feel insecure or stupid. I'm like, I want you to feel a little insecure and stupid, like you're supposed to not fully understand what's happening.
Yes, I love that, and that was always the appeal to me of comics back in the Silver Age.
Yeah,
you picked up, you were always going to be in the middle of something.
Right.
They didn't reboot to issue 1 every 3 issues back then.
Exactly. They tried to capture your readers. They would have these little editorial boxes, that I loved of like, check out issue 395, Batlin Bob Harris or whatever it was. And,
yeah.
I don't know, Tanner, I think as we head back to that, to older eras, I might be using like your name in there. Like, give you the box.
Yeah.
So, like, Tenacious Tanner, whatever you want to do it. Unfortunately, I don't want to leave people on a wild goose chase. I don't want to like do editorial boxes for books that they can't get. So that's the only thing I'm on the fence about. But in terms of influences in art, like I go back to that. I mean, Jim Lee and Andy Kubert were my formative, like, I guess they'd be like, that's my How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. Like, that's as much as I had that book. Their bone, skeletal structure and their scaffolding is in me for a lot of my anatomy and a lot of my bases. And then Joe Madureira was probably the first artist that felt like he was my artist, that he was like, this guy is my generation. This is my Jim Lee. This is my John Byrne. And through him, I discovered like Art Adams, and not realizing like, it was like the clenched teeth jaw thing, like the way he drew like giant teeth and like the stretched lips that Joe Mad was, I didn't realize, ripping off from Art Adams at the time. So I remember seeing like, X-Men Alpha #1 or Astonishing X-Men #1.
Astonishing,
When Joe Mad was on that and that poster and everything. And it's just that I studied that like crazy. And as I got older, I branched out.
Inspired Rogue. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The Ghost in the Shell. The hair bob. And but just like looking at like, I remember seeing the way he drew legs standing, like Quicksilver in that first issue, like when Rogan here having that moment before they go off to the into the giant sphere spaceship and Morph pretends to be Magneto, and it's a fun moment. But just like there's this one profile shot of Quicksilver standing straight up, and I remember seeing like that the S curve of the thigh into the back of the calf, like that subtle thing, and being like, oh damn, like it clicked. Like certain things that he was doing, I could see why. And I was also I was a little bit older. It wasn't just like, why can't I get my fist to look exactly like this thing? And my knuckles don't. My first index finger doesn't stick out when I make a fist like that.
Yeah, right.
Like I still do it because I know it's kind of part of the iconography. But like most fists don't. This doesn't usually happen.
Right. And it's always,
and yet when you draw it, it looks so cool.
It works,
and it's always
you have to show all 4 fingers, and I get it.
It's the great pinky dilemma. What do you do
right,
with the
yeah.
pinky at the end?
This, like, that little spiral. But
that's it's always fun.
And again, so hands and like Joe Madureira's hands, that's so in me. I can't take that out. And I get a little this issue. I've been working on this in chapter 1, the 90s era. There's a 50 panel spread that I'm working on. So it's a double page spread, and it's 50 panels.
Oh my God!
I mean, I can tease it real fast.
Do you
I can show you
routinely?
Here,
listen, Chris. Do you routinely
this is like the map?
Do you routinely hate yourself? I mean,
yes and no. Because I know the page after this is a breeze, so that'll go fast. But I do, yes, I do often say like, man, whoever, like when I'm inking especially or coloring or trying to separate colors.
Yeah.
It's like, man, whoever fucking inked this shit is an asshole. Like this guy sucks. I that's partly why I have to do it all myself, because I don't want to subject anybody to anybody else to having to like flat this. But yeah, for something like this, it's like, this is a challenge. This is kind of like a Sin City sequence. It's an action sequence. It's also a mostly wordless kind of silent sequence. And
with panels that size, there's not a lot of room for text.
Exactly, yeah. And I really wanted to showcase kind of that beat to beat action fight kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
the second chapter, again, the big monster fight, that's a little bit more action movie, bigger. This is kind of more gag or like panel that Scott McCloud second to second panel time. The way comics use time that way. But yeah, so as I get older, Frank Miller, big influence. Mike Mignola has become more and more of an influence, for composition and spotting blacks and all the good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And then really, I think the biggest modern one would be Frank Whiteley. Is really just his ability to choose the right moment and the right snapshot to tell, to convey the beat before and the beat after it is just I personally unparalleled. And it's one of those things that you have to really love the medium to fully like get it. Because it's not as flashy. It's like once it clicks for you, it's like, oh, this is genius. This is nothing quite
right.
Nobody does it better. But thank God people are trying, because it really leads to some amazing attempts.
Yeah, without a doubt, man.
And then Rockwell and Pixar and Norman Rockwell and Pixar movies are huge. I like to think the style I'm doing for this book, which kind of comes out of speed and necessity, it's I say speed as I'm drawing 50 panels on a thread, but is
right.
I feel like it's kind of like a dirty Pixar or like a naughty Rockwell.
I like it. I love it. I love it.
Especially the cover has a certain kind of like, I was trying to go for a sort of a twisted Saturday Evening Post kind of vibe, and it's selling a narrative. Cheers, thanks. Yeah. It's selling a story. It's also the first panel of the book, which is a lesson I learned that the guys on the back cover of issue 2, that's kind of off the where's mirrored, there we go, no, this side. I only have the pencil, the rough sketch, but these guys on the side are sort of the arms of the executives that are chasing her and attacking her and trying to capture her. So we start with her captured in chapter 1. So just trying to keep using the cover as more than just a cover, but trying to let it be the first panel of the story.
Finch actually bought a bunch of copies to answer your question.
Omer Glitch says, how was it getting high praise from Finch, Chris? If I recall, didn't he shout you out on one of his streams? I think he did more than that.
He did.
He gave me a shout out. Yeah, he also bought like 20 copies or something like
that. He bought like the highest retailer tier.
Which is great, and Canadian dollars too. So that's
and by the way, boys
that conversion
and girls,
really.
if you don't know who David Finch is, shame on you.
You should check him out.
The dude is an absolute beast of an artist. Real quick, because we're gonna run out of time, but I want to segue over to your writing, because like me, you're a writer artist, and I have finished the floppy. I'm working on the novella on my campaign right now. Thank you, Katie, Caroline. I do feel better. Thank you. So we were talking about writing earlier, and you mentioned playwriting or screenwriting was something you started out in. Talk about your influences there and your kind of your process of how you write.
Sure. I studied playwriting in college, and wrote mostly plays in college. I'm sure, as you know, it's not something you can really turn off, and so ideas and stories and snippets pop in all the time. And the biggest lesson I learned in college, which I really appreciate, is trying to figure out, this is with regards to playwriting, but why does this story have to be told as a play? Was kind of the thing they would tell us. So like, the story you're telling me sounds more like a movie, or it sounds like a book. It doesn't quite sound like a play. It's not utilizing the medium for its strength and for why stories should be told in this medium. It's too cinematic. It's too what have you. It's too internalized. There's too much internal narrative. And so that lesson I apply to every idea that comes my way or that I come up with. And a lot of things start visually. A lot of things start with a seed or like a scene or a shot or a picture.
visually in your mind.
Yeah, I'll get something visual, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, how do I love that moment. How do I get to that moment? And then usually 9 times out of 10, by the time I get to that moment in the story I've written around it, that moment doesn't work anymore, and I have to take it out. I have to kill that darling, and that's something I learned from like watching The Incredibles behind the scenes of Brad Bird and everybody. When the Jack attack sequence, he's like, if we take this one thing out, the thing that made us write it in the first place, the kernel that this thing built from, everything makes sense. So not being afraid of that is a big lesson. But re-falling in love with comics after college and it really right before like the pandemic was when I started watching a lot of like cartoonist kayfabe and started getting into and Strip Panel Naked, which is another great channel that people are looking to get their fix about breaking down how this medium. It's kind of like the Understanding Comics. Understanding Comics, but for the modern age, and it's realizing why comics, what the kind of stories you can only tell in comics, and trying to write something for that, and saving the screenplays and the movie ideas and the TV show ideas for that. And I have a literary manager for that who's shopping some stuff around right now, which is fun. None of it's really superhero-y stuff, but
but it's so good.
Thanks, man.
At least the two that you've sent me.
And making sure that those stories are being kept in that category and not trying to do the thing which we've seen in the industry since Iron Man, really.
Right.
Which is that my screenplay won't sell. My crappy knockoff of a Western whatever or dystopian this and that isn't selling in Hollywood, so I'll make a shitty comic, make it seem like a bunch of people liked it, and then drop a comic, and hopefully that will get adapted and my screenplay will get made. And I'm not saying, listen, there's potential. If anybody wants to make Satellite Girl into an animated show, we'll talk. That's fine. But I'm not against that. But the point is, don't come into my comics and make a crappy version of it just to get a step up the ladder towards film.
Let's greet a couple of folks in the chat here. Caroline, Katie popping in. Good to see you. And Apex, a fellow Navy veteran. Wonderful to see you as always, my friend. Thanks for popping in. Yeah, God dang, man, your creative process sounds exactly like mine, except mine doesn't usually start with a visual. It starts with I hear a line of dialogue or narration. And I'm like, okay, who is saying this? Where are they? Who are they saying it to? It kind of builds a scene, and then just like you, I start writing around that scene. How do I get to that scene? I never start with, I've got the whole thing planned out. Let me do an outline and just build around the outline. That comes later. That comes much later.
It can fall into place pretty quickly that's magic when that happens. I often I was talking to a friend of mine recently about how because we're collaborating on a script, and this is like childhood best friend since we were 5, and he went to USC and is working as an editor, and I've had this idea that was initially as a play, but I'm like, I think it'd be better as a movie, so we're adapting it to that. But I liken the process of figuring out, like, breaking the story is, it's like you're at a party, you're at somebody else's house, and there's a movie playing in the other room that you've never seen. And you like keep walking, you hear something in the next room, and you like kind of lean over, and you see like through the crowd, like, what, that guy's punching that guy. Well, that's weird. And then like a waiter walks by, and you're like, well, I can't. So you have to keep drifting by the room.
Because it's pulling you in.
Yeah, and you're like, okay, you're just like, okay, well, that's amazing. That person just died. There's an explosion. What happened? And you have to like keep walking by, sticking together that sequence. And like, did they rewind? Is that before or after? So you can't tell.
Chris Hicks in the house. Like. Good to see you, Chris. Chris Hicks is a filmmaker, and we're cut from the same bloodline here, in that Chris Hicks has no cultural sensitivity whatsoever. Love the guy, great guy, and this guy here is my oldest friend in the world. We've been buddies for 32 years. He was a comic book writer back in the 90s. Good to see you, Charles, as always. So yeah, that whole process, when you shared that's how you create, I was like, thank God I'm not the only one.
No, there's other deals. Other times it's usually it depends on what I'm working on. So other times where I'm like, okay, I have to go A to Z. For if it's a gig or hired gig, or if I'm working with somebody else that has more of an outline, then that's just kind of like,
sure. Sure.
What,
Clancy
what's
used to say, if there's an A and there's a C, I got to figure out what the B is.
Exactly. Yeah. And usually that
I get
determines.
that.
But knowing what the A and the Z is, A and the B, C rather, that's extremely helpful. I luckily I know what issue 5 of Satellite Girl is going to be, and I'm kind of and I've had general ideas and loose outlines for every single chapter moving forward. But last night I was supposed to be like working on something else and ended up writing the full script for chapter 1 of issue 3. Like it just kind of something clicks, feeds into it, and because I'm going backwards, I'm like, oh, good thing I figured that out now because I can tease that in 7 and all this kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's once you know what your characters want and what they need and where they're ending up and what their obstacles are, and then it's fun. And the fun thing about you asked about the villain of chapter of the 90s Satellite Girl in issue 2, number 1 in the hood, and it's you will find out who's under that hood. That's part of the fun of it. But it's
nice.
And I don't know if down the road these characters might pop up eventually, but they're kind of meant to be one-offs to represent what the era that she represents, what she's fighting, or what that Satellite Girl is up against. And Satellite Girl 10 in issue 1 is up against like manipulation and media and advertising and like the Pepsi endorsement and the Super Bowl ad and all that. Right. Number 11 is up against toxic fandom. Obsessive stalker, fandom, and then and 12 is, I guess, her own demons and sexualization in a modern Instagram-y kind of era. That one, I might that character will get a lot more in the future. I have to say, 12 is she's got her own story down the road. This was kind of just an intro to her style and my style.
Yeah, I would imagine that 12 has a lot to contribute, given that
she's kind of
given that era has stretched on into where we are today.
Totally.
Yeah. Chris Hicks saying the same thing. He goes, I figure out what the points of interest are and where they would fall with the timeline, and then just connect the dots. Yeah. I think that's how creators create.
My Dan Harmon story circles right here too. I don't know if you can see it, but that's never too far from my view.
Laurie Calcaterra and I were talking. She had shared a meme that was just someone staring off into space, and above it it says writer, and someone says off camera, "What are you doing?" And the person says working, because that's exactly what you do as a writer. You've got to constructively and deliberately not work.
Right. I do see sitting there and staring screen, that still counts because you're thinking, you're figuring it out. As long as you don't get too distracted, it should be good.
Yeah, if you can daydream your way through scenes. Okay, let me I'm getting told I've picked up backers. I've got a 39th backer here. Let me share my screen for just a second. Bam. Okay. I can do this. It just takes me forever. Present, share screen, share screen. You have to tell it so many times. Screen. Whoops. Nope, not that one. And then we have to start all over. Present, share screen. I got it, buddy. I got it. I just clicked on the wrong thing. Allow. Can you, do you have admin, Tanner?
I don't have admin, but I do have share screen.
Well, then, bam, there we go.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, 39 backers. We're at $1,341.50.
Awesome.
Thank you, Charles. 54%. I'm going to run through the campaign real quick because I haven't even talked about it at all. Just what you can get. This is the story of Jake Bishop, private investigator, hard bitten, scotch drinking, chain smoking, fedora wearing, trench coat having, old fisted, back when men were men and the women weren't. The campaigns are Damned If You Do. This is one of everything. It's a Damn Dirty Thing comic, the novella, the Pariah Blood and Mud graphic novel, the Damn Dirty Thing coffee mug. He misspelled coffee. Damn you, Anthony. 2 E's in coffee. The Golem tapestry, the Porsche print, 2 sketch cards plus the digital. And then Damned If You Don't is all of that minus the Pariah stuff. But then the bread and butter here is just $7 for the floppy. We worked hard to keep that price point low. And the feel we're going for here, boys and girls, is just one of those wonderful old late night movies that used to come on when we were kids. You know, it's a rainy Sunday and TBS or TCG is on. Excuse me. Pardon me. The novella is only $9. Looking like it says 80 pages. It's going to be a little under 80 right now, it looks like. But it's the novella. It's the expanded story. You can get that. And then you can get the $4 PDFs of either the floppy or the novella. For $15, you get the comic and the novella. Oh, and of course, the coffee mugs. Hey. Digital copies of the comic book and the novella. Both PDFs are only $7. For both, you can get the Pariah Blood and Mud if you missed it. This is a catch-up tier. This is a 48-page graphic novel. And just real quick, the stories tie together. All of these occur. The Pariah, that's why it's a damn dirty thing, a Pariah story. So Jake Bishop exists in the same universe with Elizabeth Payne. We met Elizabeth and her origin in book 1, Pariah Blood and Mud. Her next book is Pariah Sanctum of Hate, in which Jake Bishop plays a very big part. But as I was drawing the pages, I thought this guy needs a little bit of, he needs to hit the ground with a running start. So I went back and said, we're going to do this first Jake Bishop 20-pager just to kind of introduce the character. The $17 catch-up tier, get both the comics plus the digital copies. This over here, Bishop Investigations, the coffee-stained business card that Jake Bishop has. That is a working phone number you can call, boys and girls, and I encourage you to do so. 410-449-2466. Leave a message for Jake Bishop. Hire him to find your lost kitten or your lost virginity. I don't care what it is. We're gonna pick a winner, and that winner is going to get a freebie. And I haven't said what the freebie is yet. Depends on how good it is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, call that number. $7 catch-up tier, digital. And then $25 will get you all 3 books, the novella, the floppy, and Pariah Blood and Mud. $10 for all 3 on PDF. $18 to get a coffee mug, and that is exactly at cost. I make not 1 cent of profit. That's what it costs to buy the mugs, get the printing done, the sublimation print, and then to ship them. And if you missed out first time on the Golem Black Light Tapestry, you can get one there. And then there's 2 original art pages up for sale right now on the campaign. There they are. This was before I went digital. I went digital about a little over 2/3 of the way through the book. So you can get those original pages if you so desire. Only $100, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than what it ought to be. So yeah, there we go. A damn dirty thing back at today. That may be the fastest pitch I've ever done.
That's good.
Sounded great.
I'm on board. Yeah.
Apex says writing takes focus, organization, determination, and writing. Take out organization, and you've got my formula. There's no organization here whatsoever. Chris, when I finished the floppy, I went, good. Now I can focus on the novella and finish it up. I had about 40 to 50 pages done. I knew. So I opened up the file, and there were only 30 pages there. And I went, what the hell happened? And I went looking. Couldn't find the other page. 20 pages just gone.
I get mad when I was editing the Kickstarter page and I wrote a good blurb for one of the reward tiers or the stretch goals, and I was like, oh, that's funny, that's great. And I went back and it didn't save, and I had to reload it, and I was like, these perfect 4 lines, so it's like I had to paraphrase it. It's fine.
Oh no!
It's I'm the wording was just mwah, and then so God, 20 pages. I lost a paper in college that was like that, and I had a meltdown and
been there, done that.
Almost destroyed my computer. But
yes. When I was in college, the best we could do was the 144 floppies, the discs.
Yeah.
You write it at home, but you couldn't afford a printer. We lost Chris again. He's back. Welcome back. You bring it to the school and put it in one of their computers and print it out.
The print lab, yeah.
Yeah. How about I laid mine too close to the big subwoofer in the back of my car? The magnet erased it.
That's good to know.
No.
Then I was no. Fortunately, I had a cool professor who goes, go home, remake a copy, bring it back.
Yeah, same. The trick I learned was you email them at like 4 a.m, like when it just happened. And
yeah,
it just broke down. Like, all right, we'll take the day, get it to me tomorrow, rewrite it, what have you. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah. I had a cool professor. That same professor, he said to me one time, there was something that came up, and I didn't bring in something that we needed for the practicals we were doing, and he looked at me with this just coolest expression. He goes, "It's not a problem unless you want it to be one." I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah.
It's not a problem unless you want it to be one.
Yeah, it's like global warming too. Same thing.
Yeah.
Very much kidding about that, but yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not. I'm old. I'm going to be out of here before those problems come home to roost. And somebody said, "Don't you care about your children?" I said, "My children are lucky I let them live." Sorry if that offends anyone, but remember this. Just remember, don't be this person. Don't be that person.
Well, that person looks pretty tough.
If you get offended,
1,000-yard stare on that person.
Yeah,
My ass, probably.
If you get offended, nothing happens. Nothing at all happens.
Yeah.
You're just
most people start a YouTube channel and complain about it.
yeah.
Oh,
Exactly
my DMs are blowing up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I just listen. I got no. It's a weird thing, Tanner. I don't know, Chris. Did you ever serve in the military?
I did not. No.
Okay. When you do, it does give you a little bit of a different outlook on what should bother you and what should not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If there's not somebody across the street shooting at me, you're not much of a threat to me. I don't really care what you say or what you do. It's not going to have any bearing on me. You learn what to be afraid of and what not to be afraid of in the military. If that's any one lesson can be taken away from that. Don't you think?
I do.
Don't you think, Tanner?
I'm afraid of people.
Is it Trent Reznor, I'm Afraid of Americans?
No.
Is Bowie? Yeah.
That was Bowie.
Yeah. Bowie, yeah.
But Trent Reznor collabed on that one.
Yes,
and was in the video.
Yeah. I want me to tell you a story about my mom meeting Trent Reznor and David Bowie.
No way.
Well, it's quick if you have time. I don't know.
Sure, absolutely, we have time. Roll with it.
Part of my artistic background, my mom is a painter, and she was a scenic designer, scenic painter for like stage and plays and things like that for a while.
Uh-huh.
And so through a friend of a friend, a colleague, she got a gig in the like 96, I want to say 95. Bowie was launching his tour, and Nine Inch Nails was opening for them, and they were launching it in Hartford, in Connecticut, and at the Meadows, and I guess
I literally have the poster for that.
Yeah, and so they shipped his whole like set and stage from wherever they were building it, and when it got to the Meadows, like there was things wrong with it, things they wanted to change, or like Dave Bowie didn't like the giant baby mannequins or wanted them painted differently. I forget. And so a local a contractor, construction guy, scenic builder contacted my mom. They came in, and so for the week before the tour launched, she was like at the venue repainting drops in the parking lot and spray painting severed heads and whatever the hell kind of craziness it was. Right. And she's in the parking lot, she's painting and working on it, and this guy comes up to her who's in backstage and starts talking to her about like her art and what she does and watching her paint and what she's choosing to do and kind of talking art like painter to painter. And she's like, "Oh, what do you do?" He's like, "Oh, I'm with the opening band." And she's like, "Oh, cool." And he's like, "But I paint as well." And she's like, "Oh, neat." And she's like, "What do you play in the band?" He's like, "Keyboards and sing mostly." And she's like, "Oh, right on." I'm like, and I'm sixth, seventh grade, and wearing my Nine Inch Nails T-shirt, and you can see Satellite Girl number 9 has a tattoo.
I noticed that.
Nine Inch Nails logo with an E at the end of it. Like, I'm showing my colors, and she's like, so I met the guy from 9 Inch Nails. I'm like, was it Trent? She's like, Trent, that's his name. Really nice guy. We talked about painting. No idea who he was, and like, of course,
Trent, really nice guy.
Yeah, really sweet guy. I think he plays keyboards. Yeah, he plays keyboards.
Yeah,
that's what he does.
He plays a little bit.
he tickles, he dabbles a little, but she's like, he really just wanted to talk about his art and like his painting and stuff, and like, it was pretty great.
That's awesome.
No idea. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's just awesome.
That's great.
I had a celebrity come into one of my art showings at a gallery, and I didn't recognize this person at all. No idea who they were, but they wanted to talk about art, and it was a solo exhibition. It was my stuff, and all she wanted to do was talk about my art, talk about my art. And then she ended up buying one. I didn't think anything else about it. The next day, I see the receipts, and I'm looking like, what does that say? And I'm not going to say her name because she lives a town over, and she's really well known, and I don't want to dox her out.
Dame Judi Dench.
No. Much younger, much more beautiful.
Cool.
And
Dame Helen Mirren. Sorry.
I was blown away. Dame Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren was hot back in the day.
Helen Mirren was hot 10 years ago. Well,
Still
hot.
Helen Mirren looks great. I don't care.
But I was blown away that I was sitting there talking to that person, and then that thing happened where you go, now I feel like an idiot for not recognizing her, for not engaging with her. But I think she probably preferred it that way,
Yeah, to a degree.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but you never know who you're going to run into. And you just do you, boo. Sooner or later.
Oh, thanks, boo.
Sooner or later, the famous people will find you.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, to answer the question from the chat earlier, getting Dave's shout out and endorsement on the stream the other night was amazing. Was more than I could have anticipated, and he focused on the writing, which really was really special to me. And the feedback I got on issue 1 was a lot of like, the art's amazing, I love it, it's fantastic. And I'm like, great, like I know that, but what about the did you like the story? Like, did you get it? Like, yeah. Of course, what you're more insecure about is what you're gonna need praise on. So I expected what he's going to talk about the book and everything, but the fact that he zeroed in on the writing was really special. And so he gave me a shout out on the first book, and that was I cherish that YouTube video. I'm glad it's up there forever. So on my darker days, I can be like, well, Dave thinks I'm good.
Yeah.
Go back to that. So that's good. So yeah, that was pretty great. And he's the nicest guy, and Meredith and he have been very supportive. I mean, I met him at Terrificon last summer when we were gearing up to do issue 1, and showed him my work, and I introduced myself, and he couldn't have been nicer, and was like very generous and like really eager to help out his fans and the community he's built. It's really pretty awesome. Yeah, it's a great resource. I highly recommend subscribing, getting his books when he does Kickstarters. And he's not the fastest with email, so some emails might go unanswered, but he's in person's a great way to get in touch with him as well. If you get a chance to meet him, he's super nice.
And that's Finch.
Yeah, Dave Finch. Yeah, sorry,
Dave
and Trent Reznor probably too. I don't know.
Listen, David Finch is one of those guys. I found his channel quite a while back.
Yeah, and I happened to watch this first live stream when it was Sunday nights during the pandemic when he came on. I was like, I happened to be on YouTube, watched the first one, so I've been an OG. I've been there since day one.
Yeah. And I probably found him around that same time. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't even thinking about coming back to comics. I was still doing fine art, doing my paintings, And I remember watching him going, God dang, this guy is really good. Where did he come from? I don't remember him because I did comics back in the 90s.
Oh, sure. And he was just kind of starting. And
and I remember, I mean, that's back when Ethan had this little frog character he was drawing for Harris Comics,
whatever happened to that character?
Whatever happened. A lot of the image guys were just breaking loose, and doing their thing.
And he was a self-admitted like Silvestri clone at the time, and and there's a lot. I remember his like when he came out, like was it Ascension or his first Cyberforce and stuff, and being like, oh, I get it, like it's totally house style, but there was something a little sharper in his darks and his like you can cut yourself on those shadows. About Dave's stuff.
Far more embracing of using black, heavy blacks. I love that in an artist.
Really, I gotta work on that.
I mean, everybody does, I think, at some point. Frazetta said, if I start a large black section on the torso or the arm, I want to carry it all the way through the body and down to the opposite side of the leg. And I went, really? So I went back and looked at some of Frazetta's work, and sure as shit, it's there. That, you know, don't be afraid of black. It's your friend. So yeah, good stuff. All right, we're gonna wrap up the show because it's been a great one. Anytime we don't book a guest and we just fly by the seat of our pants, we have a great time. And today was one of those days. I want to thank Chris Olette for coming out. Tanner Hurley, as always, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for co-hosting. I can't do this without you, brother. You know that. So I'm going to play one more trailer, and then I think I played all the sponsors. Let me get us out of here with this.
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm tired of talking to you.
And don't think it hasn't been a little slice of heaven.